point. Jamie Rubin had to leave us. Gentlemen, you have the floor.
Well, I think what we're learning now in the Middle East is that there are going to be crises like this more and more often. You have weak, democratically elected governments that do not have full control over their streets, their security forces, and you have populations that feel empowered to speak their mind and voice their rage, and organizations that are cranking up that rage and directing them against the United States. So for the Obama administration, the one that comes after that, this is going to be a kind of crisis that they encounter over and over again, and so they need to come up with new strategies of how to deal with it.
Ryan, you basically have just time to agree with Bobby.
No, I agree with you. Quickly, I think we're reaching a tipping point where this could start to define the presidential election in the coming weeks. Sometimes these things pass and move on, but it looks like it's reaching a tipping point where we have a worldwide crisis that both candidates are going to be talking about
November 6th.
Ryan Elizabeth from The New Yorker, Bobby Ghost Time Magazine, Brooke Baldwin.
Hey,
it was a great week here with you.
John Berman.
Soledad O'Brien is back next week. Carol Costello, CNN's Newsroom, begins right now.
Happening now in the newsroom, demonstrations canceled. Egypt's Muslim Brotherhood calling off nationwide protests. Was President Obama's phone call behind the move? This as we're learning of new arrests linked to the attack on the consulate in Libya that killed 4 Americans. Falling rates, rising market, the Fed's new push to make buying or refinancing a house cheaper. But there are questions this morning. Will it really help the housing market? Plus, a second scandal, topless photos of Kate Middleton published in a French magazine. The royal family fuming this morning. The photo taken during a private vacation on private property. Did the magazine break the law? And fake field goal. It was the play of the night with the Packers and Bears. It was Green Bay's Thursday night. Newsroom begins right now.
This is CNN Breaking News.
And good morning to you. Happy Friday. I'm Carol Costello. We begin this hour with that bit of breaking news, a dramatic new effort to tamp down some of the ugliest anti-American violence in the Arab world. And it comes at a critical time. In the past 24 hours, protests have swept across a massive region, 11 countries in all, from Morocco in the west to Iran in the east. But also new this morning, a startling development. Egypt's powerful religious group, the Muslim Brotherhood, has ordered nationwide demonstrations be canceled. Rioting outside the U.S. Embassy in Cairo has been some of the region's most violent, with more than 200 people injured. Senior international correspondent Ben Wiedemann is in Cairo this morning. Ben, how significant is this group's intervention?
Well, it's significant in the sense that there was a lot of tension about the possibility that those nationwide demonstrations the Muslim Brotherhood called for could result in an escalation of violence. They were canceled. However, demonstrations go on. In fact, there's still several hundred young men, for the most part, outside a wall that's been set up by Egyptian security near the American embassy. They are throwing rocks over that wall in the direction of Egyptian security forces. The Egyptian security forces firing back occasionally with tear gas and rocks on their own part. In Tahrir Square behind me, there's another demonstration that appears to be organized by the Salafist movement as opposed to the Muslim Brotherhood. So there are still demonstrations. There are still clashes outside the U.S. Embassy. The Muslim Brotherhood, they canceled these nationwide protests. They said to avoid escalation in the violence, but in a sense the genie's already out of the bottle. It appears that these street clashes outside the U.S. Embassy are not organized by any political group. It's spontaneous. They've been going on now since Wednesday evening and may go on for some time to come. Carol?
Ben, I'm just wondering why this change of heart from the Muslim Brotherhood. I know a couple of days ago, President Obama said Egypt was not exactly the United States' ally, but it wasn't its enemy either. Did those words have anything to do with this?
I think there is a certain amount of alarm among the leadership of the Muslim Brotherhood. Those I've spoken with did seem to get the message that the United States was unhappy with the response or the reaction of Mohamed Morsi, the Egyptian president, to the breaching of the American embassy. They felt that maybe it's time to start sending out more reassuring messages to the United States. But what's significant is that on the one hand, the message is coming out in English to a non-Arabic audience seem to be pointing in the direction of reconciliation. I was at a demonstration this morning at a mosque not in the Tahrir Square area where it was organized by the Muslim Brotherhood, and the chants were not reassuring. One of the chants was Obama, there are a million Osamas, referring, of course, to Osama bin Laden. Chants saying that the United States is the enemy of God. It appears that the Muslim Brotherhood is trying to please two audiences at the same time, the United States and its supporters. And the result is that it's a very mixed message that makes one wonder about the sincerity of the Muslim Brotherhood when it says that it wants normal relations with the United States.
Ben, what was that noise behind you? That was it gunfire? Was it an explosion? Was it
That's
the water
just
cannons?
Tear gas being fired. No. Tear gas being fired by Egyptian security forces from the area around the American embassy.
Thanks for clarifying. Ben Wiedemann live in Cairo for us this morning. Now, a closer look at the Americans who were killed in the attack on the consulate in Libya. Their families are speaking out, sharing their pain and their memories. CNN's Lisa Sylvester has that part of the story.
The three victims who have been identified were not based at the U.S. consulate in Benghazi. Sean Smith, a husband and father of two, worked out of The Hague and was on a short-term duty as an information management officer in Libya. Ambassador Chris Stevens was based in Tripoli. The most recently identified victim was Glenn Doherty, a former U.S. Navy SEAL, a U.S. security officer who lived in Encinitas, California, but grew up outside of Boston. From different areas, at the consulate, on assignment. They leave behind grieving hearts. Kate Quigley is Doherty's sister.
Glenn lived his life to the fullest. He was my brother, but if you ask his friends, he was their brother as well. We asked for privacy during this time as we grieve for our friend, my brother, our son, and our American hero.
As a Navy SEAL, Doherty was a trained sniper and medical corpsman. He stayed active working for a California fitness company called SEALFit. He's seen here in this video having fun in a friendly competition.
Mr. Doherty, Winchester, Massachusetts, right?
That is correct.
A long way from home. How old are you?
41 and a half.
41 and a half.
That's right.
Doherty was just 42 when he died. Ambassador Stevens leaves three younger siblings. Tom Stevens is his brother.
He was doing what he always did, which was representing the United States in an exceptional manner. He was my big brother. So all the things that you typically, as a little brother, all that guidance, just being best friends. That's what I'll miss the most.
Sean Smith, an Air Force veteran, worked at the State Department for 10 years. At the time of the attack, he was online playing the game Eve under his handle as Vile Rat and posted this message online. Tributes are pouring in. A friend of Smith saying, quote, "He had no desire for fame or recognition. He simply saw things that needed to be fixed and set about trying to fix them. His loss is all the more tragic because it was caused by forces he detested, those of hatred, intolerance, and ignorance." The same could be said for all the victims.
Lisa Sylvester joins us now from our Washington bureau. Lisa, I know you have some more information about the last victim to be identified, the fourth victim. What can you tell us?
Yes, Carol, you know, we were waiting. We got the first two names on the first day, and then we've got Glenn Doherty's name. And now we finally have the fourth name, the fourth American who was killed in that attack. His name is Tyrone Woods. He is 41 years old. And his mother spoke about him and the tragic, tragic loss.
Ty would not want to be seen as a hero. He would want to be seen as the guy on his team who did his job.
And did it well.
And did it well. Did it the best he could. Obviously, and unfortunately, and I'm sure my son went down fighting. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I haven't been told, but I'm sure he went down fighting. I'm sure he did. And I just hope his last moments weren't painful.
That, of course, being the voice of Cheryl Bennett, Tyrone Woods' mother. Tyrone Woods, he was also a former Navy SEAL like Glenn Doherty, and the reports are that they were apparently rounding up these surface-to-air shoulder missiles. That's what they were doing, is trying to get these weapons out of the country, and that was the mission that they were on, Carol.
So sad. Lisa Sylvester, thanks so much. As protests continue, Mitt Romney is on the campaign trail, and he's blaming the violence in the Middle East, at least in part, on President Obama's foreign policies. A top advisor to the Romney campaign, Richard Williamson, said this, quote, "There's a pretty compelling story that if you had a President Romney, you'd be in a different situation. For the first time since Jimmy Carter, we've had an American ambassador assassinated. In Egypt and Libya and Yemen, again, demonstrations, the respect for America has gone down. There's not a sense of American resolve, and we can't even protect sovereign American property," end quote. Richard Williamson repeated that on CNN's Starting Point.
The U.S. government cut assistance to the reformers for 2 years. When Tiara Square began, the Vice President of the United States said Mubarak was a reformer. A Democrat, the Secretary of State reformer. We didn't get out in front. The result was we didn't have relationships with the reformers. They didn't look to us. They didn't trust us. This gave room for the Muslim Brotherhood to succeed. We would be, Romney administration would be there, would be more active trying to work with civil society, with reform movements, so we would be partners in this evolution, not running behind and not seen as part of that. I think that changes the dynamic. And so, yes, there would be a difference.
We'll have more on Mitt Romney's foreign policy at the bottom of the hour. Jim Acosta will have a full report.